The sound of success, decoding her physical response. Most men walk into the bedroom completely oblivious to the fact that they aren't just there to perform, they are there to listen. There is a specific ringing tone that a woman's body produces during intimacy, and if you aren't tuned into that frequency, you are essentially flying blind. This isn't just random noise or background static. It is a direct, unfiltered biological report on her health, her physical history, and the depth of her connection to you in that moment. When a woman is healthy, naturally tight, and free from any underlying infections or yama yama diseases, her body speaks a very specific rhythmic language. It's a signature sound that confirms she has maintained herself well and isn't overworked. If you don't know how to decode these sounds, you are missing the vital signs that tell you exactly who you are dealing with and whether she is being 100% genuine about the pleasure she's experiencing. Understanding this ringing tone is like having a cheat code for intimacy because it reveals the truth that words often hide. Many guys get so caught up in the heat of the moment, doing what I call carpentry work, where they are just pounding away without any rhythm or awareness, that they completely miss the evidence right in front of them. You need to realize that the sounds coming from that sanctuary are indicators of her internal tone and elasticity. A healthy, sweet, and tight woman will produce a sound that is crisp and consistent, signifying that her body is reacting perfectly to your presence. This sound is a badge of honor for a man because it proves that the friction is right and the reception is high quality. If the bedroom is silent or making the wrong kind of noise, it's a massive red flag that something is off, whether it's a lack of connection or a lack of physical maintenance on her part. You have to be sharp because women can easily use words or fake expressions to deceive you, but the body never lies. Most men get overwhelmed by the visual sweetness and forget that the acoustics matter just as much. That ringing tone tells you if she is truly juicy or if she's just going through the motions to make you feel good. It tells you if she has been consistent with one partner or if she's been knacking around carelessly. When you learn to pay attention, you stop being a victim of deception. You begin to understand the difference between a woman who is naturally sweet and one who is just performing. By focusing on these segments of sound, you gain total clarity on the kind of woman you are locking in with, ensuring that you aren't just eating anything put in front of you, but rather enjoying a high-standard, authentic experience that makes sense for a man of your caliber. The clap sound, the ultimate sweet spot. The very first sound you need to train your ears to recognize is that unmistakable, rhythmic pa, 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 or clapping noise. For a man who knows what he's doing, this sound is like music because it serves as an immediate green light. This isn't just a random acoustic effect. It is the physical evidence of the perfect sweet spot in terms of her anatomy and your connection. When you hear that steady, crisp clapping, it means she isn't too loose to the point where there's no friction, but she also isn't painfully tight in a way that blocks pleasure. She is sitting right in that golden, sweet range where the grip is firm, the walls are responsive, and the movement is creating a vacuum-like seal. This specific tone is a clear indicator that she has maintained her elasticity and hasn't been overworked or involved in constant heavy friction with multiple partners. It's the sound of a woman who is naturally toned and physically prepared for a high-quality encounter. You need to understand that this puh sound is actually a badge of authenticity. It reveals her history without her having to say a single word. Usually, a woman who produces this consistent ringing tone is someone who is selective and hasn't gone too far in her past experiences. It's possible you are her second or third partner, or perhaps she just hasn't engaged in heavy activity for a long time, allowing her body to stay fresh and resilient. This sound tells you that she is naturally juicy, but still holds her shape, which is exactly why it feels so incredible for you as a man. It's the kind of tightness that doesn't feel like a struggle, but rather feels like a warm, firm embrace that welcomes every move you make. If you are hearing this, you are experiencing the peak of natural female sweetness, and it's a sign that you are dealing with a woman who is physically clean and structurally sound. What's even more fascinating is how this sound evolves as the session progresses. In the beginning, that clapping is loud and clear because there is just enough natural moisture to create the sound, but enough grip to maintain the friction. However, as you continue to work and she gets deeper into her pleasure, you might notice that the pop pa noise starts to decrease or soften. Do not mistake this for her becoming loose. It is actually the opposite. When that sound begins to fade, it is because her fountains of water are finally starting to gush out. The natural lubrication becomes so abundant that it cushions the impact, turning the sharp clap into a smooth, silent glide. This is the moment she reaches peak arousal. It's the transition from the sweet phase to the juicy phase, where she is completely overwhelmed by the sensation. Paying attention to this transition allows you to know exactly when she is about to overcome with pleasure, giving you the upper hand and ensuring you never get deceived by a woman who claims she is enjoying it when her body isn't making the right music. The milky texture, the absolute gold standard. When you are in the thick of the action and you start to notice a texture that is thick, milk like, or has that aqua water consistency, you need to stop and realize that you have officially hit the jackpot. This isn't just basic lubrication that you find with any ordinary woman. This is the elite, high quality biological response that every man dreams of encountering. This cheese like or milky substance is the ultimate sign of a woman who is naturally sweet and physically primed for intimacy. It has a slight draw to it. It's a bit gummy and elastic, which creates a unique sensation that words can barely describe. This texture acts as a natural cushion and a biological magnet, making every movement feel incredibly smooth, velvety, and deep. When you see this, you aren't just knacking, you are experiencing the highest form of physical reception possible. It is the gold standard because it proves that her body is completely in sync with yours, producing its own internal honey to welcome you into her sanctuary. The feeling of this milky texture is so addictive that it completely changes your game plan as a man. This is the kind of woman that makes you forget about the time or your energy levels. The moment you enter, the warmth and the softness of the reception are so overwhelming that you find yourself insisting on a second, third, or even a fourth round without even thinking about coming down. There is a warmth and a calmness inside her that makes the entire experience feel soft and mar. It's not just about the friction, it's about the way her body literally wraps around you with this natural, drawing sweetness. This isn't something she can fake or buy at a pharmacy. It is a natural gift. When you encounter this, you'll notice that the friction never becomes painful or dry. Instead, it stays juicy and rich, allowing you to go the distance and explore every inch of her without any discomfort. It is the ultimate natural nectar that keeps a man hooked and coming back for more every single time. Typically, this level of reception is a massive indicator of her history and her current state of health. You will mostly find this milky gold in women who have maintained a very high standard for their bodies, often those who are virgins, those who have only had one or two partners, or those who have stayed away from knacking for a very long time. It shows that her internal environment is balanced, healthy, and hasn't been diluted by constant reckless activity. She is fresh, she is clean, and her body is reacting to you as if you are the only man who matters. This is why the connection feels so deep and why you feel that intense emotional pull. She isn't just giving you her body, Her body is physically signaling that it is reserved and high quality. So when you see that drawing, okra like water, know that you are in the presence of true sweetness. Don't rush it, don't take it for granted, and make sure you are man enough to handle that kind of elite reception. Because a woman like this is rare, and her body is telling you the truth that she is the best you'll ever have. The tire pump sound, the ultimate red flag. If you are in the heat of the moment and you suddenly start hearing a sound like a bicycle pump, that hollow, whooshing, air filled noise, you need to stop immediately and pay very close attention. This is not a sound of pleasure, and it's certainly not a sound of success. It is a massive, flashing red flag that something is fundamentally wrong with the connection. This pumping tire noise happens when there is an excess of empty space and a total lack of natural suction or resistance. Instead of the tight, rhythmic pa-pa clap of a healthy woman, you are getting a mechanical, hollow echo. It's the sound of a hole that has lost its tone and its ability to grip. When you hear this, you realize very quickly that there is no juice, no friction, and absolutely zero sweetness involved. It feels like you are just moving through thin air, and for a man who knows what high quality intimacy feels like, this is one of the most disappointing experiences you can have because it offers zero physical satisfaction and feels entirely empty. You have to be direct with yourself about what this sound actually means because the biology behind it doesn't lie. That hollow whooshing sound is a clear attribute of a woman whose sanctuary has been recently overworked or overextended. In plain terms, if you are hearing that tire pump noise, there is a very high probability that she was engaging in heavy knacking with someone else less than 24 hours before you arrived. The muscles are tired, the natural elasticity hasn't had time to recover, and the walls are literally sagging, allowing air to get trapped and pushed out in that annoying, hollow burst. It's an indicator that she just did some gum body before coming in contact with you. There is no natural honey or milky texture to fill those gaps because her body is physically exhausted from a previous encounter. You are essentially stepping into a used environment that hasn't had the chance to reset, which is why the sweetness is completely missing and the experience feels so mechanical and dry. This sound is the ultimate proof that you are being deceived if she's claiming she hasn't been with anyone else. When a woman is fresh and her body is well maintained, that air pocket sound is physically impossible because her walls are firm enough to create a seal around you. But when that seal is broken and the ringing tone turns into a pumping tone, it shows a complete lack of emotional and physical exclusivity. There is no connection there. It's just a hollow transaction. You'll notice that no matter how hard you try or what positions you use, the juice never seems to come out because the friction required to trigger it simply isn't there. It's a frustrating yum yum experience that leaves you feeling drained rather than satisfied. Any woman giving you that sound is not given at all. She is loose, she is overworked, and she is not providing you with the quality you deserve. Don't ignore the soundtrack of the bedroom. If it sounds like you're fixing a flat tire, it's because the engine of that relationship is already broken. The ego screamer, faking the connection finally. You must be extremely careful not to let the loud shouting deceive you, because many men fall for this trap and walk away thinking they are kings when they were actually just spectators in a play. If a woman is screaming so loud that your neighbors are literally knocking on the wall or coming to check if you are strangling her, you need to wake up and realize that this is likely a calculated performance. This isn't the sound of genuine ecstasy. It's what I call the sound of ego. She is shouting to massage your ego and make you feel like a giant, but in reality, she is doing it to distract you from the fact that there is zero physical or emotional connection happening. High volume screaming is the ultimate cover up, used to mask a lack of ringing tone or natural suction. When the body isn't making its own music, When there's no rhythmic clapping, no juicy friction, and no physical grip, she uses her voice to fill the silence so you won't notice how hollow the experience actually is. You have to understand the psychology behind this performance because it is a direct sign that the bond is missing. This kind of over the top shouting is a common attribute in business encounters or casual gum body situations where the woman has no real love or emotional attachment to you. She wants the session to end quickly, or she wants you to feel satisfied enough to keep her around, so she puts on a show that would win an award. Because the screaming is so loud, it completely destroys the soundtrack of the bedroom. It blocks your ears from hearing whether her sanctuary is actually responding to you. You'll be so overwhelmed by the noise that you'll forget to check for the actual physical evidence of sweetness. You might even feel ashamed of the noise she's making, yet you don't resist because you think you're performing wonders. But the truth is, she's just performing a script to keep you from realizing the Toto isn't giving anything back. The most important thing to remember is that when a woman truly loves you and is deeply connected to you, her body does the talking for her. Real pleasure is often felt in the quiet, intense moments where the only sounds you hear are the pa of the friction and the deep, heavy breathing of someone who is actually lost in the moment. Authentic intimacy has a specific ringing tone that doesn't need to be drowned out by theatrical screaming. If there is no emotional connection, the bedroom seems physically silent, and that's why she feels the need to start shouting to hide the fact that her body is disconnected. If you jam a woman who is making all that noise, but you can't feel any grip or see any milky response, know that it's just a business arrangement. A woman who is genuinely juicy and sweet doesn't need to shout to prove it. Her body makes the music, and that music is the only confirmation a real man needs.